Today, we're diving into something that affects every single one of us: how to tame that ancient, powerful survival brain of ours. So, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how you can replay some super embarrassing moment from like 10 years ago in perfect high-def detail, but you struggle to even remember a nice compliment someone gave you just last week? It feels so unfair, right? Well, there's a really powerful reason for this, and it all boils down to one simple, crucial idea. Your brain is designed to keep you safe, not necessarily to make you happy. I know, it sounds a little harsh, but your brain isn't trying to torture you, I promise. It's running on some really, really old software.
To really get this, we've got to take a trip back in time. Way, way back. We're going to unpack our brain's ancient hardwired programming.
You have to remember, long before we were stressing about work deadlines or what someone said on social media, our ancestors had basically one job: stay alive. That's it. And their entire biology, especially their brain, was fine-tuned for that one single, all-important mission. Just think about the stakes for a second. Imagine you're one of our ancestors. If you hear a rustle in the bushes and you ignore it, well, that could be the end of you, right? A saber-toothed tiger, maybe. But what happens if you miss a beautiful sunset? Nothing. Absolutely zero consequences for your survival. So of course, the brain learned a very simple lesson. Pay attention to the bad stuff. It's life or death. And the little part of our brain that's in charge of all this is called the amygdala. The best way to think about it is like your own personal, hypersensitive alarm system. It's on 24/7, just scanning for danger. And here's the kicker. It's designed to overreact. It screams bloody murder for any potential threat, but kind of just whispers when something good happens. Okay, so fast forward to today, that same ancient alarm system is still running the show. And your amygdala, it literally cannot tell the difference between a tiger in the bushes and an annoyed tone from your coworker, or a critical comment on Instagram. It treats these modern social threats as if they are life or death situations. And that's why it forces you to replay them over and over again. In its own weird way, it thinks it's protecting you. So you can probably see where this is going. When you take this ancient survival wiring and plug it into our complex, modern world, well, you get some pretty predictable and honestly, super frustrating glitches in the system. And the first big one is something called the negativity bias. This is basically our brain's default setting. It's programmed to automatically focus on, remember, and give way more importance to bad stuff than good stuff. And this is the perfect way to picture it. Think of it like this. Negative memories are like Velcro or super glue. They stick and they stick hard. But the positive memories, they're like Teflon. They just slide right off. And science backs this up. We actually encode the details of bad experiences much more deeply in our memory.
Now, as if that wasn't enough, this whole thing gets amplified by a second glitch called loss aversion. Psychologists have figured out that the pain of losing something feels about twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining that exact same thing. Isn't that wild? Our brains are just hardwired to avoid losing no matter what.
So, let's say you find a $100 bill on the street. That feels pretty good, right? But now imagine you lose a $100 bill. That feeling is way, way more intense, about twice as intense, in fact. The emotional punch of the loss is just so much heavier. And this right here, this explains so much about our day-to-day lives. It's the reason why one single critical remark can totally overshadow 5 compliments you got earlier. Your brain isn't trying to bum you out. It's just obsessed with preventing a future loss, a loss of status, a loss of respect, a loss of self-esteem. Okay, so these glitches, the negativity bias and loss aversion, they don't just exist on their own. Oh no, they can actually feed on each other. And when they do, they create this really powerful and kind of dangerous feedback loop. We call this the cortisol loop. And here's how it works. It starts with rumination. You know, when you just can't stop dwelling on a negative thought. That thought signals danger to your brain. Your brain then flips the switch on your stress response and floods your system with the stress hormone cortisol. But here's the really crucial part. That cortisol then makes your brain even more sensitive to negativity. It's like you're training your brain to be an expert at spotting the bad stuff. You're literally teaching it to expect the worst. All right, so if all this is happening inside our own heads, why is it so incredibly hard to see it? Well, it turns out there's one last, very sneaky bias that acts like a cloaking device, hiding this whole pattern from ourselves.
Let me ask you something and be honest. Do you think you're a pretty objective person? Rational, see things as they are? Yeah, most of us do. And that belief, that's actually a huge part of the problem. This is what's known as the blind spot bias. And it's this funny quirk of the human mind where we are fantastic at seeing biases in other people. We're like, oh, well, obviously they think that, they're biased. But when it comes to ourselves, nope, we think we're totally immune, that we see the world with perfect clarity.
And this blind spot gets a power-up from something called naive realism. This is the unshakable belief that the way we see the world is the way the world actually is. So, logically, if someone disagrees with us, what's the conclusion? Well, they must be the one who's biased or irrational or just not seeing things clearly. It couldn't possibly be us, right? And that is the trap. The blind spot bias tricks us. It convinces us that our focus on the negative isn't some glitchy, outdated survival program. It makes us feel like we're just being realistic. We start to believe that our pessimistic outlook isn't an outlook at all, it's just the objective truth. And once you believe that, it becomes almost impossible to ever question it. So, are we just stuck like this? Is there a way out? The answer is a huge yes. We can absolutely disrupt these loops. It just takes some intentional mental habits. So let's get into the toolkit, the practical steps you can take to break the cycle. Okay, 4 key tools for your mental toolkit. Number 1, cognitive reappraisal. The next time a negative thought pops up, just label it. Say to yourself, there's my ancient alarm system overreacting again. Don't treat it as truth. 2, practice metacognition. That just means thinking about your thinking. Start a little bias journal. When something bothers you, ask why. What's really going on here? 3, intellectual humility. This is about actively looking for opinions that challenge yours. It keeps your own biases in check. And finally, number 4, and this one is so important, nurture the positive. When something good happens, don't just let it fly by. Intentionally slow down, savor it, really let it sink in. You're helping it stick to that Teflon brain. So what's the bottom line here? It's this. Your brain was brilliantly built to keep you alive in a world that, frankly, doesn't exist anymore. But the amazing thing is, you have the power to consciously retrain it. You can teach it to be happy in the world you actually live in today. Which leaves us with one final and really powerful thought to take with you. Just because you think something doesn't make it true. A lot of the time, our thoughts are just that old programming running on autopilot.